Well, it's been a while. Well, can't possibly say it's been a while, but I think it was Tuesday, we just heard from Isiah Thomas, the former great Detroit Pistons point guard, Isiah Thomas. Came out recently and crucified Anthony Edwards for the dumb statement he said about the only player that had skills, MJ himself. And Isiah Thomas took umbrage because of that. We know how his relationship with Michael Jordan is and how that is. So, of course, he would come out and say that. But Isiah Thomas, two-time NBA champion, Finals MVP in the '90s, 12-time NBA All-Star, two-time All-Star MVP, first teams, second teams, rookie first team, assist leader, part of the 50th and 75th anniversary team, a champion at the University of Indiana. MVP at the University of Indiana actually was the most outstanding player. McDowell's All-American and USA Basketball Male Athlete of the Year. That Isiah Thomas. He has a grudge. A deep-rooted, seated grudge against the GOAT, Michael Jordan. Mainly because, one, Isiah Thomas is from Chicago, if you did not know. And all of a sudden, here comes Jordan from North Carolina, just coming over just to take over the city, become the most beloved figure in that city. I know that has to hurt. Not being able to get on the '92 Dream Team, all sorts of things. We ain't gonna go into it because I got a lot to talk about. But recently, he came back out and said something goofy as well. This is what he had to say. So, he says Scottie Pippen was good enough to lead the Bulls to a championship without Michael Jordan. And as we all know, recently, for some reason, I don't know what it is, there's a lot of these stands out here that believe Scottie Pippen is better than Michael Jordan. They truly believe that. I don't know why. Some also think that Scottie Pippen was the second best player when Jordan was retired. That would have mean the first best player could have been Hakeem. I don't think that at all. Maybe third. I will put Chuck in front of Scottie Pippen. But anyways, here he is. I'm reading from this article. Isiah Thomas never shies away from speaking his mind and stir controversy, especially about MJ. The Hall of Famer has unresolved issues with the six-time NBA champion since the late 1980s and blames him for being left out of the '92 Dream Team that competed in the Barcelona Olympics. He was back at it on X recently and made an eyebrow-raising statement about Jordan's role in the Bulls dynasty. This was on X. During the back-and-forth discussion with fans, some of these guys gotta get off freaking Twitter. I swear to God. Get off Twitter, man. You too old to be on Twitter, Isiah Thomas. You 61, 62 years old. Get off, 63. Get off there. Get off there. It ain't for you. But anyways, during a back and forth session with fans about general managers surrounding stars with talented players, Thomas claims that Jerry Krause was the greatest executive across any sport in America. When one fan disagreed and claimed he was lucky to have Jordan, which also can be true, probably the best player ever, the Pistons icon said in response, the Bulls would have won championships even without the superstar guard. He admitted that the franchise likely wouldn't have won 6 championships and three-peated twice. However, Thomas claims that a team built around Scottie and Tony Kukoc would have won at least 2 rings. He wrote, I know this is a bunch of hating ass right here. I disagree. Scottie Pippen and Tony Kukoc were good enough at that time to win 1 or 2, definitely not 6. That's what he said on Twitter. And this article actually goes a little bit into that season. When Jordan retired in '93, the Bulls replaced him with Pete Myers, who had spent the previous 2 seasons playing in Italy and Canada. Played in all 82 games, started 81, averaged 7.9 points, 3 assists, 2.2 rebounds. It was a steep drop compared to Jordan, who averaged 29 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists in the '92-'93 season. Despite losing their best player and replacing him with a below-par journeyman, the Bulls finished 55-27, only 2 wins less than the previous year. They could remain contenders without Jordan because a rookie two coach made an immediate impact and Pippen shouldered the responsibility of filling the void that the superstar has left. And just to keep in mind, Tony Kukoc was drafted in 1990, I think it was. He didn't play until a couple years later. So by that time, he was probably a little bit older too and more polished. Because Tony Kukoc did play overseas. The Croatian forward was drafted in 1990, like I said, but played in Europe until 93. However, in his debut season, he showcased why Cross was eager to have him on the roster, which wasn't big for Jordan or Scottie Pippen. They didn't like that one. If you watched The Last Dance, they didn't like that. He averaged 10.9 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and was still bringing the dynamism back to the team that sorely needed. I'm not going to read all this because this is what happened after Jordan left. So if you look at the roster after Jordan left that season, right? You just look at that roster. 29 points, 5 or 6 rebounds is kind of hard to replace, especially you're trying to replace 29 points and defense, an impenetrable almost defense from Jordan himself. That's pretty hard to replace. And you look at this roster that was there the season that they had B.J. Armstrong, Bill Cartwright, right? Horace Grant, Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, Luke Longley, like I said, Pete Myers, John Paxson were produced, Scottie Pippen, Bill Wellington, Scott Williams, Corey Blount, and JoJo English, and Dave Johnson. Now, for the time, yeah, that team was good enough to get to the playoffs. Because Scottie Pippen, I ain't going to disrespect Scottie Pippen like that. Scottie Pippen is a Hall of Famer. Top 50, top 75 player of all time. But here's the thing. The Knicks, they were tough. They did push the Bulls to 7 games in the semifinals, right? But here's the thing. Here's the thing you got to think about right quick. You got to think about this part. If they would have got past the Knicks, this Knicks team had John Starks and Pat Ewing and all that, right? Let's see here. Who did the Knicks play after they beat the Bulls that season? The Knicks would go on to play Indiana. And the Knicks barely beat Indiana. That series went to 7 as well. And then they would have to play, if they got to the finals, they would have to play the Houston Rockets. With Hakeem, there's no Clyde yet, because he wasn't on that team yet, but Hakeem. They would have a tough time. They had a tough time trying to contain you. They would have a tough time even trying to contain Hakeem Olajuwon. And the fact that they didn't do it explains it all right there. And wasn't it the next season when Scottie Pippen came begging for Jordan to come back that season? The 94-95 season? I believe it was, wasn't it? So no. What Isiah Thomas said was completely goofy. And this is the definition of being a hater because, like we said, MJ do not get along and probably will never get along. They're like the two grumpy old men in a 60s. Well, maybe Isiah Thomas is. I don't think Jordan's ever responded to Isiah Thomas or whatever his claims have been. So I can't say that. Two grumpy old men going back and forth. Can't say that. Now Scottie was. Oh, that's the next year. Let's see here. Looking at something right quick. Yeah. What was Scottie that season? Scottie, now the second season without Jordan, Scottie was on the first team, just to back stuff. He was on the first team, NBA first team, NBA all defensive second team. So yeah, well, he did have some first teams and some second teams and whatever and that. What was he the season after Jordan left? He was on the NBA first team the first season Jordan did leave, and on the defensive first team. Like some people got it in their mind. I don't know where this is coming from. Some people got in their mind that the Bulls made it to the finals, which is not true. Because one person in the conversation, when I asked the question of in the video, when was Scottie Pippen ever the second best player in the league? Some people truly believe that Scottie took the Bulls to the '94 finals. I'm like, no, he didn't. It wasn't even close. I said, what's close? Close is not losing in 7 games in the semifinals, especially when you got another whole four to 7 games to go in the conference finals. So it was not close. And I truly believe Scottie could not take them there. And from what my knowledge is, the East during that time was being repaired because lots of greats end up retiring, like Larry Bird. Charles Barkley, well, he was already over there, but Charles Barkley had gone and since went from Philly to the Phoenix Suns. So there was really only two teams the Bulls probably would have to worry about. It's the Indiana Pacers and New York Knicks, because the other teams like the Celtics, 76ers, Hornets, Hawks, Magic, Heat, the Bucks were trash, and the Bucks were actually gone too because they started to go downhill. So is the Pistons. So there's pretty much, like I said, left the Bulls, Pacers, and Knicks out there. Cavs were going downhill too at the time. So they had their chance, and they blew it, losing to the Knicks in 7 games in the semifinals. So whatever Isiah Thomas is talking about, we all know it's not true, and it didn't happen. Because if it did happen, we'd be talking something totally different. So, yeah, Isiah Thomas, like I said, I'm not a big fan of him. And this is probably one of the reasons why I'm not a big fan of him. Because he says goofy stuff like this to discredit Jordan all the time. Meanwhile, Jordan sits on his yacht with his beautiful wife, dancing maybe, and smoking a cigar. And, I'm not going to make that joke after that. No, I'm not going to make that joke. But you get what I'm saying. Jordan's chilling somewhere, while Isiah Thomas is fighting with fans on Twitter, going back and forth. Crazy, man. Crazy.